Welcome back, child. Welcome black, child. Welcome black. Welcome black. Honey, it's the DMV Weave Doctor, located right here in Bowie, Maryland. Okay, welcome. All right, we're just making sure that we are logged on Instagram as well. The child, the Weave Doctor is getting high tech. Okay, Weave Doctor going high tech today. Make sure I don't be wasting my time. Okay, be doing all the lives all at one child. All and the one time, okay? So I know it's been a while, honey. Last week was Super Bowl Sunday, and honey, them daggone Kansas City Chiefs got their tail whooped. Okay, child. And my father's and almost the whole entire family loved the Kansas City Chiefs. So I know they were just crying and miserable. Okay. But it's good that other people win. So shout out to the Eagles. But yeah, that's why we didn't have the live last week. But today we're having the live. And just as promised, we're going to be talking about the stress response. We were supposed to be we were talking about Hans Celia. We had a lot of different discussions because a lot of people did not realize how your own lifestyle has a lot to do with your overall health and with alopecia. Okay. And so that's what we've been trying to address. There were a lot of different type of hair loss, especially those caused from autoimmune conditions, androgenetic alopecia. Not androgenetic. That one actually is from androgens, but we're talking about alopecia areata. So that's a very popular one. People are getting diagnosed with, and also ones such as telogen effluvium, and which these have a lot to do with actual environmental stressors affecting your body. So just a recap, this could be what you're breathing in, what you're putting on your skin, what you're eating, okay? And as we're learning more, what you're thinking, okay? There are some people, and I learned this through kinesiology, also have a kinesiology certification. I have multiple certifications. And that's why, child, I'm able to help my clients, okay? And so with the kinesiology, it's very, very profound. I'm actually going to go back over and do some of the stress release activities. Honey, they have stress release activities from the kinesiology science that actually helps to get those negative feelings out of your body. Now, for some people, stress can really do a number for them. With me, not necessarily at this point in time in my life. However, there are certain things that I get very triggered about, and I have to make sure to put myself in the right type of mind frame so that I'm not letting that consume my day. Okay, but for some individuals, I even had a family member, their main cause for their hair loss, for their excess cortisol, and their mood was all stemmed from stress and stress being in the workplace. Okay, so it's some individuals, and also each individual has their own level of stress that they're able to handle well. Okay. Like the weave doctor, I feel like I do well under stress. Okay. Now, I may not do well. Now, it's certain things that people, after a while, sometimes when you're under a lot of stress, you may not want people just asking you crazy, dumb questions. For some people, like for me, that probably could be more of a ticket for me. If I'm under a lot of stress or I'm doing a lot, having someone like make you go above and beyond, trying to over explain stuff. So that's probably one of my pet peeves. But other than that, I think I handle stress pretty well, and it doesn't necessarily affect my day to day when I go to work. However, there are some people, and as we're learning with this different types of hair loss, these people, and now this is not everybody, and this doesn't make that you're a weaker person, but it's just how stress affects you. There are some people who are less, like they get agitated more. Okay. And so sometimes that could be a sign that is something going on with your adrenals and could be with your neurotransmitters as well. That's why it's really good. Something could be going on with your hypothalamus. You keep getting into the stress loop. Okay, that's the main biggest thing, is to get out of the stress loop. And for some people who have found out to cope with stress a little bit more, seem like they're able to do these things. And so I would suggest, if you feel like you are someone that when you're getting stressed out, it's really starting to affect your day to day, your hair starting to fall out or shed more, or if you feel like ever since you started working at a certain place or dealing with a certain spouse, you started to have all these different things with your hair. Okay, you started to notice that you started to thin out. If you are one of those people, then you might want to start working with a counselor, or either some self help. There are a lot of self help things out there. And then in some cases, you may feel like you need a psychiatrist. Okay. So it's a lot of different things of coping. And again, while you're doing this, while you're talking to a professional, the weed doctor is not necessarily professional in that degree. I do know some tips, like we talked about in the other videos: meditation, deep breathing, um, we were talking about doing box breathing. That is very, very, very effective. In certain things, it instantly reduces cortisol. Taking several breaks throughout the day. And I'm going to find some more tips too, as well, because, people just develop all different types of conditions. Like right now, I'm dealing with vertigo issues, and I actually had a chiropractor. He believes that it could be post stress when I was as a child. And so some people, you don't realize how things affect their nervous system. Okay, so for some people, it could have different effects in different areas. So again, that's one thing. If you notice that when you started getting real stressed, that you're starting to lose your hair, you have to ask yourself, did I get a surgery? Did I get exposed to a sickness? Did a death happen in the family? All these different things are very, very important. Now, if it's just something that's very not a long-term stress, you're just going to get in and get out. Maybe you can overcome that. But if it's going to be something more stressful, maybe like your children or a mate or your living situation, those things, you would have to find out how to cope better with your stress. All right. So we just wanted to make sure to address some of those things. But yeah, with kinesiology, we learn how to release stress. And child, I'm going to do that because child, the weed doctor got triggered. Look, I talk about my own life stories on my channel. I'm not going to say the gym. I told them they need to keep it cute. But there was a lady that was just mean and nasty to me. And I've dealt with bullying when I had to move. I moved a lot when I was a child. And so it's just for certain people, it's certain triggers and things that really. So I think I have a really, really strong thing against bullies. Child, I've been thinking I'm the bully buster. And sometimes, but I feel like that was causing me to be more stressed dealing with this person who's supposed to be an employee and then had someone helping her and assisting her. I was just livid. And I'm one of those people, I'm telling you. So it's like it depends. Certain situations can trigger our stress. And as I've been going on the therapy route the last year or so, I'm learning that also it could be things from your childhood. Say, like for me, that individual did not know that. She probably didn't know that I had people discriminate on me for health issues. That's a big trigger of mine too. Also, dealing with bullies and stuff, and I had to fight a lot as a younger child. And so I was winning my fights now. Okay. And nothing wrong with that, but that still creates stress and anxiety. You have to find out your triggers. And I think after that, when I felt like I was going through all that, I'm going to now, talk to one of my other psychiatrists or whatever that specialize in that, and you can get more coping ways to cope with your different type of stress. Because it's, you might not be able to avoid it. Like for me, I'm not going to change that gym at this current time. Okay. So that is just some information, that, and I'm using my life as an actual, as something that happened with me. Okay. So with all that being said, we're just talking about the different stages of stress. And we talked about the Hans Selye. This was this professor, this doctor. He figured out the different stages of stress, that people go through. However, through hair tissue and mineral analysis, when we take the actual hair strand, we are analyzing the actual hair, and we send it off to very big laboratories, $multi-million laboratories, and they help us to, assess each individual who we get the hair strand from or the hair biopsy from, their state of stress that they're in. And this is very, very, very helpful. This can let you know if you are somebody who's stuck in sympathetic dominance or parasympathetic. For example, For those who have fast oxidation, those individuals are stuck in a fight or flight. And a lot of times they are stuck in that all the time. And I have been a fast oxidation for a long time. I think recently, the last time I did my hair analysis, and I think I actually had moved down to slow oxidation. And so we're just going to talk about what some of the symptoms. It's different symptoms that comes with these things. And if you get your hair analysis done, you can find out how to balance out your metabolic rate so that you're not going in overdrive or under. Also, one of the things I like about the hair mineral analysis, like they have different patterns. Like I was stuck in a bold pattern for a while, or the four highs. And they said with bold pattern, those people they have, I think they would, I can't remember everything that they said, but pretty much that individual is dealing with a lot of, fighting and in their internal things. And it's so true. So, we were addressing some of these things. So if you get your hair mineral analysis, child, the weed doctor probably can be able to tell, what things that you're dealing with, or for example, also in the hair analysis, if you have a high calcium, that means that you could be under a lot of stress as well too. Your body is trying to protect yourself. Okay. So these are just things to look into. And that might not mean that you're going to be able to fix it all, but you can start addressing some of these things. And some I do know with the bold pattern, that could come with suppressing some of your feelings as much. Maybe you're not being as vocal or upcoming to people who are around you. That's another thing that we talk about. And Child, the Weed Doctor's books will be coming out a little bit. But for if you guys want to look into some of our ebooks that are online, that we talk about some of these hair loss conditions, and then mental health, not necessarily mental health, but health and how it affects your hair. Okay. All right. So Child, the Weed Doctor going to put in the chat. All right. Put it in the chat today. You can look at some of these things. And these, make sure this daggone link works. Okay, but pretty much with this link, you can purchase some of our ebooks, and you can begin to educate yourself. Child, that's why you got to make sure you check these daggone links for you end up being set up. Okay. So with all that being said, make sure the Weed Doctor got her daggone link together for y'all be set up trying to buy something. Then y'all gonna be rolling your eyes up at me. Okay. So, anyways, we'll get to that link later. I probably just put the link tree in the chat, and you guys can have the direct link that way. But pretty much, it's different stages of stress. There's things that you can do in your life, not being as transparent with people, letting people boss you around all the time. It's different things that bring on a lot of stress. Being a people pleaser, all of these things can contribute to more stress. Trying to help somebody when you really don't have the wherewithal to help them, okay, and they're stressing you out financially. These are all things to address and to look at. People just don't realize these small little things can cause so much issues in your life. I know there's a book that I really love called Boundaries. That one talks a lot about managing stress, with people, particularly your friends, your loved ones, and your family and extended family, and even like on your job, how your boss engages with you. All of these things, if not maintained properly, how people deal with you, how you're going to set your boundaries, it can stress you out. And if you are someone who are prone to losing hair from stress, baby, they gonna get you. Okay. So today we're going to be talking about, so at least we talked about that already, at least so you guys can understand the importance of trying to regulate your stress, maintain your peace of mind, not get overwhelmed by things, just finding ways to cope with stress in your life. There's some things, and now I'm not saying that all stress is bad. There are studies that say stress of some kind is good for you. However, if you feel like you are overburdened with too many tasks and stresses, you need to start looking for support on how to alleviate those things so that it does not cause some of these different forms of hair loss like we're talking about, or just any type of stress related illnesses or any different types of ailments. All right. So now we're finally getting down to the different stages of stress, and you're going to be able to figure these things out. Now, you may not be able to figure them all out by these symptoms. We were supposed to get to these things, but a couple of weeks back, but the weed doctor had to do a little bit more research. All right. So, pretty much, there are three stages of the stress. And one of the first stages of stress is the alarm state. Now, this is in the fast oxidation stress. I mean, the fast oxidation rate, okay, of stress. So, if you get your hair mineral analysis, and there are a very small population of those who even have fast oxidation. Those are pretty much the people. I believe there's only probably less than 10 or 15%, maybe 20% of the population at most that fall into this category. And this with this individual, the sodium rises high, so they have excessive adrenal activity. They also can suffer from a high sodium potassium. Now, you're not going to be able to see these things on a blood test. These are only found through the hair mineral analysis test. And if you guys are interested in finding out more, you can email the weed doctor. I'm gonna put info at purevirginmaine.com if you want to find out, especially if you believe you're somebody who is losing hair. Also, another condition that is not really addressed, especially within our community, is trichotillomania. That is where people are actually ripping their hair out or twirling with the hair so much, and it starts to cause damage. And in that state, for those who maybe possibly maybe dealing with some OCD symptoms and things like that, or depression, you definitely want to talk to your therapist so they can see how to help you so that you are not feeling like that you have to do these things. Okay. So these things are very, very important. But let's get back to the fast oxidation rate. All right. So this excessive adrenal and thyroid function. That's, they have that not hypo, but hyperthyroidism. A lot of times these people, maybe they could have like the bulging eyes or Graves' disease, different things like that. All right. Comes with excess cortisol. And so this is the beginning stages. And I had dealt with this when I went to do like my testing throughout the day when I was getting my hormone levels checked. When I had went, my cortisol was through the roof, but that is because I'm in the fast oxidation state. Now, I would probably love to do the test again. But what happens with some of these things is that we have to be mindful and careful, really looking at how our body is responding to stress. Because, if you keep going in overdrive, eventually the body can crash. Okay. Or you then have little to no energy at all. All right. And so the people who are in the fast oxidation rate, it's pretty much like a car going 100 miles per hour. And there's some people who are like that. And I was in this oxidation stress stage of stress for many, many, many years. Okay. And this actual stage of stress, you ever found somebody that actually loves being stressed, that loves to overwork themselves? Believe it or not, they may be a fast oxidizer. It's like they are addicted to stress. They do not give into fatigue. They fight. They don't go to bed when it's time to go to bed. And that's another thing. We got to make sure we go to bed really between 10 and 11 o'clock. If not, then your body is revamping back up. And baby, you're not going to be able to hardly go to bed because your body then gave you another dose of cortisol when you're supposed to be going to sleep. All right. Also, for these type of people, they run on nervous energy. They have to be hyped up, and their body being in this state actually can lead to your body being in a catabolic state. So your body is then beginning to break down. And those who are in this catabolic state, this can, maybe your bones can start to be affected. You start having different issues with your ligaments and things like that. There's a lot of different things with this catabolic state. So you got to be very, very careful. You may be more susceptible to allergies and things like that. So these are just, and also emotional mood swings or disorders or, things, all of the things of those types of natures. So that's pretty much with that. And these people also in this fast oxidation, they have sympathetic dominance. They're stuck in the fight or flight state. They're always irritable, has a lot of anxiety. Child, you haven't found out somebody that's already always anxious, attitudinal, okay, nervousness, high blood pressure, high strung. These are some of the symptoms for those, and this is the alarm stage. And so, pretty much with each one, as we're going to go over these things, we only got like two or three left. Your body starts to then loses its ability to adapt to the stress. And so that's when we have to make our own monitor. We have to start begin to monitor our own body, our own, what we're allowing ourselves to be stressed about, how much energy that we're giving up in certain areas. Because honey, we are not a robot. I know they're about to bring out the daggone AI robot and take everybody's place. Okay. But these are just things to do. Our bodies are not meant to go in overdrive like that. We have to repair, rest, and digest. Okay. And so I had looked back over because I had got an analysis because with the vertigo situation, my chiropractor he wanted me to go to this special type of neuro doctor that could see if I had brain injury from a car crash or anything like that, or just from stress, trauma as a child. So I'm going through that, and in one of my notes, he gave me some type of brain recovery of injury type of recovery. So these things are very important, you guys, especially if you know somebody. If you is one of those people, you just can't chill out. You always in overdrive, honey. You about to burn out, girl. You're burnt. Okay, you're cooked. Okay, so just make sure to look into those things. All right. Now we're moving on to the next stage of stress. This is the resistant stage of stress. And I have been in this oxidation rate as well. This is the mixed oxidation rate, where pretty much it's fast with the low sodium potassium. And either one of the adrenal or the thyroid is opposite. So one may be in fast, one may be in slow. Okay? And pretty much your energy is on a energy roller coaster. You're up and high. One minute you got all these energy, next minute you collapse and can't even be able to get up out of the bed. Okay. And so again, with this one, with each one of these, the sodium and different functions are starting to decrease. And eventually, the body starts to collapse, and then it goes into the exhaustion stage of stress, which is slow oxidation. Now, a lot of people who are in this oxidation rate, I believe it's probably about 80 or 70%. I need to double check that are stuck in this oxidation rate. Okay. And so with this is a slow oxidation rate. And the worst one is the four lows pattern. Now you can only find this out. They even call it a death pattern. I know, right? That's such a terrible thing. But as with these slow oxidation rates, this is an exhaustion state. So pretty much you have maxed, baby, you done maxed out all your minerals. And you got to be careful also when your body is going to slow oxidation. And eventually, if you're headed towards the four lows pattern where all of your minerals are below the average amount, your body then has no defenses to protect itself from different types of strong invaders or different type of health challenges. Okay, so not only could you cause yourself to lose hair, but you can make yourself more susceptible to a lot of different type of health problems. Okay, and so these are just some of the things. And at this exhaustion stage of stress, the sodium is at its lowest point. The individual can have a high calcium and magnesium. All right. Now with the four lows, everything is low. Okay, but the slow oxidation rate is just you're entering to the exhaustion stage of stress, and you can be dealing with the underactive thyroid and adrenals. You can begin to feel lethargic, very slow. Some people may be talking about like they have hyperthyroidism, gaining excess weight. So and this type, now you can tell sometimes if you're this is a tip. A lot of people who are in this stage of stress, they try to avoid stress at all costs. Baby, they do not want to smoke. Okay, they don't want to smoke. And there's some people like that. They are avoidant. They have avoidant personality types because their body is overwhelmed. Okay, they got enough problems already. They ain't trying to add nothing else on their plate. Okay. And these types of people also can be copper toxic. And we're going to talk about this too. maybe we talk about that next week. People who suffer from copper toxicity also have a lot of issues with hair loss as well. Another thing with these people in these different patterns for the exhaustion stage of stress, they have toxic accumulation from heavy metals. They can have a very rigid personality. Okay, have bad thoughts, malnutrition. All right, so these are some things to look into. And of course, we already said you have copper toxicity from this slow oxidation or exhaustion stage in the stress. It can cause hair loss. So if you get your hair mineral tissue and mineral analysis done, you can find out, are you somebody that is stuck in this stage, and if so, we can find ways to speed up your oxidation rate in a healthy manner to get you out of that, and also to detox from the toxic copper that's built up in your system. All right. And a lot of people also don't realize that copper toxicity can affect your mood. Okay. All right. So it's a lot of different links to different things like that. Also, those who are stuck in this slow oxidation rate, they can be more susceptible to osteoarthritis, asthma, poor skin tone, migraine, constipation, overweight, depression, fatigue, and hardening of the arteries. All right. So these are just some things of the different stages of stress and why it is good to eventually, if you work with a weave doctor, and a hair tissue mineral balancing practitioner, they can help put you in a more balanced oxidation rate. And a lot of these things come from the diet and your lifestyle. So, that's why the weave doctor got her book coming out. Okay. And one of the chapters is Thou Shall De-Stress. Okay. And so with that, it talks about all of the different things that I learned from my program of being a mineral balances practitioner on how to live a more less stressed life. And one of the things it was saying, don't be a people pleaser and make sure not to add too many things on your plate. If not, you may not be able to avoid all types of stress, but if you can really start monitoring that, because all of these things can affect your overall health and eventually your hair, especially if you're already dealing with thinning hair to begin with. Okay. And I'm just going to name some of the different issues. Now, let me make sure this is internal causes of stress include nutritional deficiencies. Now, these are forms of stress too. All right. So these are just the things we were talking about earlier, how there's a lot of different type of stressors, not even just mental stressors. So you're dealing with your mental stress and also these things that I'm about to read. So nutritional deficiencies, bacterial or viral infections. Child, you can just walk outside and get sick. Okay. Vertebrae issues, hardening of the arteries, weakened muscles, toxic metals, and different binding sites throughout the body, poor circulation, fatigue, energy imbalances, fear-based emotional problems, all right, and rigid ideals. Okay. And these are these are internal causes of stress, stuff that can happen inside of your body. Now, the outside stressors, those could be family problems, financial struggles, school difficulties, interpersonal problems, extreme heat, cold, pollution, water, improper diet, low quality food, toxic medications, drugs, other poisons, and many others. Okay. Woo, chat. So, child, don't be asking the weed doctor. It don't, the weed doctor has now gone in full overdrive on this topic. So this is a way you can find out if you're dealing with some stress. Now, and I'm just going to open up this book because, so we don't got to address this no more. I'm being funny, but y'all going to get y'all a nice little summation. I got to find it right now. Now, if we don't, again, some of these books, this book is child as big as a Bible. I can clock somebody, hit somebody side the head with this dang book. This somebody is spanking. Okay. All right. Okay. Stress from within. All right. Stress tolerance. We trying to find it. If not, we're gonna have to come back. Let's see if it talks about stress intolerance. All right. If not, we're gonna have to come back. So pretty much it's just showing you that as a human, And living in America, child, our body adapts to stress. Living anywhere, baby. And these different type of illnesses that you get and different type of hair loss situations have a lot to do with the stress that you're dealing with properly or not dealing with. Okay. Now, if we can't find all of these things, it's probably in the beginning of the book. We're gonna give it 30 more seconds. If not, child, we may have to come back and address these things. All right, I think we may be getting close. Okay, mental and spiritual development. The child, this book wasn't plain. It's telling you guys different tips, and if we can't find it, we may have to come back and talk about it. And it's not a whole. It's a long list, but it's not nothing too exorbitant. But some of the things are just basic stuff. Deep breathing exercises, not letting people wear you down with all their problems, okay? Child, but look, girl, it's taking all day and night. So it looks like we're going to have to come back and address these things so that we can talk a little bit more about the stress, different ways, different things of coping. But the child, the weed doctor that did her job on this topic. If you want to know a little bit more, you can purchase the Weed Doctor's book that's going to be coming out soon, or our ebook that is online. All right. And we talk about a lot of different ways to help with this daggone, with all different types of things, not just stress, but all different forms of hair loss. And for those who interested in, you know, uh, changing their health, just different things that you can do as far as your diet. Simple, easy things you do. Sometimes we trying to just do the most. We trying to, we trying to get on all these little cutting edge diets, doing the absolute most that are so difficult. All right, child, the weed doctor thinks she found it. All right, so these are the steps. These are some of the steps. We may not get to all of them. All right. So this is just what some of the things in the book talked about. Taking full responsibility for your life rather than playing the victim. Okay. So victimhoodship is terrible. Okay. Blaming everybody, talking about everybody is terrible. And you're gonna be that's gonna make you stressed out. Okay. Okay. Thinking wholesomely. All right. So they're talking about, like the weed doctor was talking about, addressing your anger, rage, your greediness, selfishness, desire to over control people. These are all things to think about. All right. Thinking in a positive direction. All right. And that's why some of this stuff you ain't going to be able to do only on your own. You're going to have a coach to help you go. The next thing is letting go of grudges and resentments. A lot of people do not realize that chronic degenerative diseases such as diabetes, cancer, heart disease, and many others are caused from this, including hair loss. Stressing all the time. It also can affect your kidneys and make you more prone to anger. All right. Another step, cultivating gratitude. Child, be thankful. Some of y'all just grumble and complain all day long. Okay. Including myself sometimes, not all the time now. All right, exercising. This is another way to reduce stress. Okay, naturally, it gives you a runner's high. Okay, so you get a rush after doing exercise. That's not some people, they love to exercise multiple times throughout the day. I remember I had one client, she was severely doing a lot of severe mental health issues, and she would work out for hours, baby, and she was cured. Okay, all right, now you ain't got to do no triathlon. Okay, you can do basic walking and things like that. Doesn't have to be high impact. Swimming, things like that. All right, the next one, having a balanced lifestyle. All right, people matter. Okay, treat people right. If you go around being nasty to everybody, you're gonna have a life of stress because some people gonna be trying to beat you up, cuss you out, and everything else. And depending on how retaliatory the person that you messing with, that's adding additional stress too. Okay, social time and being alone. So managing that, making sure that you are getting some social time and having a balanced lifestyle, not work, 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 and no play. All of these things can affect your stress. How well you cope with stress. How many breaks? I know when I was reading some of my different coaching things, I'm going to read that tonight, and maybe I'll talk about the next time on some more different coping things just briefly over the next time. But they were talking about taking many breaks, especially if you're somebody that is prone to getting stressed a lot. Maybe you have to take more breaks and different things like that. Find activities that are fun and reduce stress. Some I actually love to go to the what is it? The acupuncturist. Even though my acupuncturist, he's been doing too much lately, but let's hope we get back together because if not, I'm gonna go to my Thai massage. Okay, I love going to my Thai massage, honey. They give me tea, ginger tea. They give you a foot scrub. Okay, inbox the weed doc. You want to find out where that place at? Okay, and I get a little discount when I refer people. Okay, but that's not the only reason why I'm talking about that. But because I get a discount, even though the lady is very cool or whatever. But that place, I'm telling you, especially when I go to my girl, I be feeling like I'm in another country. All of their little arrangements and different type of their decorum in that daggone massage parlor is just absolutely so relaxing. They're giving you the hot tea bags. They put Thai different solvents on your muscles, and that's another thing that the weed doctor has studied. And I'm going to go back over that tonight too, because I've been dealing with migraines or vertigo, different type of symptoms. Some people believe, it's different causes, just like we talk about with hair loss. So a lot of different ailments, a lot of causes. But one of the things was from stress, okay? And so not having enough oxygen. So the weed doctor started to make sure, I think for me, I think my minerals was a little bit off. So baby, I'll be mineralizing it up, okay? I'm getting all my minerals in, and so there's just different things and things you can do to adapt to stress, and that's why it's good to work with a practitioner, work with the coach if you have if you're dealing with an ongoing problem and you're not handling well. Okay, child, and these are signs of not handling well. About to punch somebody in the, acting resorting to violence. You always capping off at the mouth, child. They about to call the popo or security on you daily. Okay, you know, lashing out, just feel like you're always overwhelmed. That means you need some help. Okay. And some of the religious things are good too, but sometimes you may need some support on top of that as well. Okay. So these are just things that they talk about. Avoid all social situations, substances that compromise your mental acuity. That could be true. For some people, when they go to these social lounges and be drinking it up, child, you mess around and go and spend the night over a friend house, a new boyfriend that you ain't supposed to be a boyfriend, you're supposed to be married. Now that can add some stress, especially if once the husband or wife find out what you're doing. Okay, so these are just different things. Okay, wow, so much going on with that. I think we pretty much all about done. Okay, three-part yoga. Yoga is very helpful too. All right, deep breathing, different type of meditation. Now some of that for me it goes a little bit too far because I am a Christian believer, and so sometimes I feel like I don't want to be inserted into other different types of religions. Now I do occasionally do the meditation. I may start that again. There's different kinds, and some of these things are originated, from other different type of practices and religions. So that's just something to look into. You have to find out what works the best for you, and if you can do maybe your version with your religion included into these meditations, so you don't feel like you having to join a whole new religious base just to de-stress. Okay, so honey, we hope that was very helpful, but you know, we just wanted to address that. And pretty much in these different stress states, if you are somebody who's dealing with alopecia areata, we already talked about it. It can start off as totalis, universalis, which is all over the whole entire body. And with these different forms of alopecia areata, it starts off slow. and then the inflammation spreads and the other follicles are affected. All right. And these things can be triggered through these different forms of stress. Like I had a client, one of her relatives died, and she then began to have alopecia totalis, just from that. And now again, so these are just things to look at too. And she was a very young client, so that's why it's good to make sure, child, get a hair mineral analysis on your daughter if you feel like maybe she's a little different, dealing with some different type of social issues, maybe feel like she's extra shy or timid, things like that. Just want to make sure that they're coping with stress properly, because these things can lead to other different type of conditions and health problems longer on down the road. Okay. All right. Well, we hope that was you guys had a fabulous time and a fabulous show. But the weed doctor got to go. Okay. And I think next week we're going to be talking about, we may either address heavy metals or copper toxicity and how that affects alopecia as well. All right, so and this is just something, do not wait until the alopecia gets into the extreme stages. Okay, it's best to treat, baby. Don't wait till all your daggone head fall off your head and you're walking around here like a chia pet. Okay, don't be waiting all long for that to happen. Just start. If you see any type of thinning, start to work on it. Address some of these things. Work with a trichologist, or if you feel like you're under prolonged stress, work with you a therapist. Maybe get you some different outlets and things, positive people, building your community up so that you can cope with your stress better. And buy some self-help books that you'll be surprised. They got so much about things. We talked about some of this other stuff on the other lives, especially about the Delta music. And that was another thing in my one of my coaching sessions. They were talking about is different type of music that supposedly can heal the neural pathways in your brain that can be causing this type of hypothalamus type of irregularity where you're not, you're stuck in the fight or flight, like for the fast oxidation, or for other people who have just other different type of symptoms, with mental health and stress. So make sure to get it checked out, baby. Don't wait till it's too late, because that these things are imperative for your overall health, well-being, and for your hair growth. All right, we're going to holler at you guys later. Have a fabulous day. Bye now.